cool. I wanted to help, but I couldn't.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Howdy, folks. Tex of the Black Pants Legion here, and here we are again on Tex Talks BattleTech.
Whoop whoop. Tex Talks BattleTech. Ooh, that's a nice opening.
Howdy there, class. Please take your seats and get comfortable. Please welcome our new classmates who've joined us from the last place we visited. Yes, I know. We tend to pick up strays, but as long as they're not disruptive, they're welcome.
Hey, can you tell me why you picked the clown up? He's gonna do bad stuff. I mean, I'm not the most trustworthy guy around, but I know trouble when I see it.
If we're asking questions, Ronald Easter, why are you like 32 pixels?
That hurts, man. I was born this way.
The truth always hurts. Don't believe me? Ask a clanner about 3052, or Capellans about why their territory keeps shrinking. Anyways, this lecture is about one of the most iconic and, I feel, tragically misunderstood mechs to ever grace the battlefields of the Inner Sphere and beyond. It's a mech that has served nobly in its intended role, while simultaneously drawing sharp criticism from those too dim to see its battlefield purpose beyond just another mech, often maligned by poor commanders or second-rate mech warriors. This mech has endured 500 years of war, and above everything else, is a respectable machine when used correctly in its intended role. Yes, today we learn about the humble Rifleman. Today we shall discuss its beginnings as a second-generation mech manufactured by a second-tier production company hoping to make the big time. We're going to discuss that in the shadow of the Mackie, the megacorps of the Inner Sphere hurriedly pushed a second-generation designs into mass production. With that serving as an introduction to the Rifleman's story, we will discuss how it has.
We're also playing League on the second screen here, so
evolved to its current iteration as the premier anti-aircraft and fire support platform under 5 million C-bills. I hope to reveal by the conclusion of this lecture why the humble Rifleman has been a staple of Inner Sphere warfighting for half a millennium and why it is still a damn decent weapon system to this very day. But to do justice to the Rifleman in its nearly uninterrupted 500-year production run, to properly
I got you with it, not myself.
History, I need to cover some background in order to make certain you understand not only what the Rifleman is, but what it was and how it got to be here. Rolling back the clock and covering in brief some past lecture material, I begin this lesson with a short overview on the so-called Age of War and how it shaped conflict as we understand it today. The earliest texts we have from before the Age of War demonstrate that it started as most periods of conflict often do, with a dangerous power vacuum and those powers who saw great opportunity in it. In the early days of the Inner Sphere, the collapsing Terran Alliance withdrew its support, protection, and governance from nearly all of its colonies. This left hundreds of
I got
worlds
kabooied.
now totally free for the very first time.
Oh God.
And the decisions they made in those early years would guide and shape all that followed. Some colonies were snuffed out by others in the desperate struggle for power and riches.
He's got Elder, that's why.
Of being incapable of existing without outside aid, protection.
He really wants that ass.
Governmental logistics
Fuck you.
structures. Without supply lines from distant Terra,
Oh.
many colonies found themselves quickly short of food or other necessary supplies. In this new era of independence, some colonies thrived, quickly becoming beacons of civilization, and fewer still began to ally, conquer, and grow until they became nations in their own right. From 2271 to 2366, you see the emergence of what we would now recognize as the Great Houses. What started as small wars of conquest and consolidation of power between tiny nation-states over the course of a century gave ground to centralized, if feudal, governments. This was an era before FTL communication, mind you, and it is that principal limitation which allowed such a throwback as feudalistic systems of control to prosper in an age of interstellar governance. After solidifying control, these
Careful, there's a
nations
turret
turned
over
their
here.
gaze outward to bring more territory into their sphere of influence, war by war, raid by raid, through annexation, subjugation,
oh, dear God.
diplomacy, and conquest.
I got
These
too close.
states drove ever outward from their original borders. The option for any unaligned world was to capitulate or be smashed by the resources of a significantly more advanced, far better coordinated, and certainly better provisioned, greater interstellar power. With the sheer amount of resources now at their disposal, and having exhausted unaligned planets to conquer or annex the now
I know why
established
you-
great powers of
but
the inner sphere,
really
turned
should-
to
Nah, I should have been there. I should have been there.
sizing each other up.
I'm also
Competition
really
was
enjoying
no
this.
longer strong versus weak.
Listening to
Competition
BattleTech.
was between
Ooh,
best
I love
empires
BattleTech.
aligned for one house or another. In this era, you conquered, or you were conquered. In this era, there was war, and each rising
Alright.
power was either quick to test the
Try
other
not
in
die
interstellar
here.
conflict,
Just gonna check
or
real
was
quick.
subjugated in turn and relegated to the dustbin of history. With power consolidation from fledgling
Except I'm
colony
always adult,
to nation state to great
Not the
house,
good part.
the rapid change in this era in terms of culture and governmental foci
Excuse me.
becomes
Bless ya.
plainly evident.
Thank you.
Whereas planetary governments worry chiefly about survival, available food stores, and whether or not they can survive another year, their military options were accordingly of low priority and thus limited. A planetary government would raise militias when needed for protection, as standing armies were often beyond their ability to maintain. The best they could do was to try to ensure that peace was maintained, or that the next conqueror didn't believe in the expansionist policies of Genghis Khan. Consolidated power had its own rewards, though. Above all,
Oh, you're dead, dude.
He tried his best, though.
Can afford
He
to
tried his
invest
best so
in the
hard, but he's
future.
dead.
They could lay plans that span decades, if not generations.
Prepare. Oh,
They
fuck.
could
Prepare for
plan
something.
for the
Yes.
future. Set aside
It's never
roads
good to
and
fucking
bread
have when
baskets,
we're
strip
20
mine
seconds,
entire continents
15
on
seconds
others,
away from
and
our people.
shuffle the vast
Mhm.
workforces necessary to take
I
advantage
mean,
of
it's not
every
coming up
resource they
until
found.
2 of you are up.
Unified interstellar
yeah.
governments often
That's
have
still
an
2 of
enormous
you.
manpower surplus and can easily raise and maintain standing armies, funnel vast funds toward mutual defense, and then look to their neighbors with paranoia who are arming
get
themselves
raped.
similarly. Where once colonies had to scrabble
what's-
for
oh, okay.
survival, an
It starts to set the
unavoidable
back,
and
basically,
unenviable
which
state
is
of
kinda
Thank
affairs
God.
for young worlds.
Yeah.
And now great houses were unified,
Oh, we're gonna get raped.
stronger, and with clear cause to direct them. And being that this is the inner sphere we're talking about, that cause, inevitably, was war. And so began the Age of War. The Age of War itself is a much studied, though poorly understood, period of time between 2398 and 2571. In these 173 years, the inner sphere would change drastically not only in national borders, but significantly in culture. In this era, you saw the rise of the warship as the big stick of international diplomacy, peacekeeping, and more often than not, war crimes by the megaton. The Age of War also bore witness to the eclipse of the warship by the BattleMech.
Oh,
As
we
a result
totally
of
left.
restrictions on war governed
We totally
chiefly
left
by the
it to like our
Ares
team to not
Conventions.
like die on the
The Ares
side.
Conventions, which as previously discussed, did civilize warfare, but at measurable cost. While noble in intention, and certainly preventing the issue
Hey,
of
taking a
massacres
break
such
to
as
watch
Tinkerbell
this.
from becoming
God,
the
we
norm,
gotta go fit.
the convention
shit.
simultaneously
Oh,
allowed
man.
for war to become standard practice by which a nation sorted out its primary differences with fellow nations. Or to quote an ancient Terran philosopher, it was diplomacy by any other means. And such times gave ground to war without end. The early Age of War began with the Free Worlds League and the Capellan Confederation duking it out over the Endurian system, which sparked a series of conflicts that would eventually envelop the inner sphere. The 6-year Andurian conflict was a key moment, for the broad
Wanna
military
see
power of the
Cyberpunk,
unified
or
Great
you
House
have to
proved
join
that
something
war
else?
was now bigger than ever before,
Say again?
and accordingly a great deal more costly.
Did you want to
And thanks
see
to the enormous
Cyberpunk? Did you
manpower
want
and
to play
industrial
another game?
strengths of the Great Houses,
I'm
wars
gonna take
like
a break
this
for a
were
little
not
bit and
uncommon.
to
The
watch
Draconis Combine
the
fought
BattleTech
the
thing.
Lyran Commonwealth, starting with a surprise
So.
attack on New Year's Day, 2407. And the Lyran Commonwealth, in a 6-month retreat, burned whole continents in a scorched earth defense. This surprise conflict would not only form the foundation.
What?
Do you want to see me murder people on the other
But
side
as
of
a
you?
result of nearly losing
Sure.
the conflict, the Lyran Commonwealth
I will watch
relocated
that on the
Great
other side.
House capital to its current day location, Tharkad. The war also
Let me
cemented
find
the
some
Steiner
people
dynasty's rule over the Lyran Commonwealth.
that I haven't
a
murdered.
practice which has continued since, for good or ill. This era also saw the rise of the Terran
See how
hegemony
well I can,
to a place of true
stream
power,
the game.
which it
And when
accomplished
it-
by fighting its
if I
own
could run it
war
at
to
it, I'll just
reclaim
go.
former Terran Alliance colonies, or at least ensure its own borders did not shrink among competing interests
Yeah, if I
from
could run
the
it.
other great powers. As better detailed in a previous lecture, this would all change at Tintavel. At Tintavel, a world died. It was not the first world to die in this manner, for nuclear weapons had become the standard means of battlefield escalation. Nukes were the exclamation point for a war, the ultimate end to you and what army, or so what if you won. It would prove the end of a wasteful era, and the beginning of another. The Ares conventions were drawn up and changed the game, so to speak. You couldn't just club an enemy to death, kick his worlds like so many sandcastles, and then claim victory by raising the
Let me,
flag over
lower
what
down
ashes
this
remain.
for ya.
War
I don't have
now
the
had rules,
volume on. I'm just gonna watch.
which had the effect
Oh,
you
okay.
know all too
That's,
well.
that's cool.
As it was predicted,
Let me
with
lower
strict
it so I
rules,
can
war
hear you
became
if you ever talk.
trivialized. War became a
Fair enough.
sport. A sport in which the points were counted in bodies and territory. A sport that has
Am I
become
lagging
the
or you
national
lagging?
pastime of many nations.
You're lagging.
Probably me lagging.
and a
Yeah.
profession, uber alles, for a select
I mean,
few
it takes
mad
forever
enough
for
to
this thing
willingly
to load.
gamble their
Well, like,
lives.
not forever.
In 2014,
Yeah, I mean,
the Ares
it's-
conventions were signed,
It's a rough game to
making
try
sure
and load.
everyone agreed to the same rules of
Yeah.
war. And with those rules in mind, and
Okay,
with
we'll stop
observers
using
on
names
hand
on
to ensure
people.
they were monitored,
Orients
the
don't
great
count.
houses changed
I love
gears and an age of war continued.
Ah, my car.
For the Ares conventions were not an end to
Oh,
conflict.
looks
merely
nice.
You
a
have
way to
you
keep
have
score.
the horse mechanic.
In 2416, the Lyran Commonwealth
You can
knew
summon your
rules
car.
in hand, and with
Nice.
mostly impartial observers,
Or
to
like
ensure war
motorcycle, use
crimes were
motorcycle.
at an acceptable level, charged into the Free
alright.
Worlds League. In Lyran fashion, with vast armies and generalship being a
Assault
purchased
in
status
progress.
symbol among
You can
the
watch me as I
political elite, the war turned into a clusterfuck. Captain
Alright,
General
how do I
Peter
want to get there?
Merrick,
I'm going to use
an
the road this time.
accomplished practitioner of actual warfighting, launched a brilliant counteroffensive
shit.
into Lyran space that resulted in a swift truce. Part of this is because the Free Worlds League understands how war actually works. Part of this is,
Yeah, I'm
as
gonna
well,
go
the
around.
embarrassing requirements of command officer training in the Lyran Commonwealth is being who you know and paid off to get there. I'm not saying all Steiner generals are bad and bought their way into a shiny uniform, but typically, Steiner officers tend to have the same level of battlefield experience as the regimental marching band. From 2418 to 2422, in the shadow of Tintavel, war erupted between the Capellan
You might not want to
Confederation
watch me real
and the
quick.
Taurian Concordat.
Well, maybe you
The
do.
Capellans
I'm going to be
launched
like
into war without following any
barely
sort
keeping
of
control of my
rules,
car.
written or
problem.
otherwise, as they pointed out the Taurian Concordat was a
Happens with the dirty-
non-signatory of
dirty
the Ares
roads.
conventions and thus free game. Technically, for the record, they were correct. They, with nothing held back, assumed a swift victory over a periphery
Yeehaw.
nation.
Oh no, there's nothing to
This
dump.
would be a test, an established inner-sphere power versus what was felt to be a very
So nothing?
minor periphery nation. The
See
Capellans
nothing?
believed they could not fail, as after all, they went into the war with everything they had. Unfortunately for them,
See, my car-
the
my car's-
Taurian Concordat
my car's
takes
over there.
military policy
Yep.
seriously. They have always
I ain't
looked
going
to
to
the
the water.
inner sphere with
That's started.
suspicion. and have prepared themselves for the day the inner sphere comes knocking, looking for free real
Oh yeah,
estate.
let me show you
And
the
bulk
camera I
of the
hate.
Capellan Navy is set to raid the Torian Concordat, hitting worlds to soften
Alright.
them up for the invasion. They
I
would
mean, it's
often
real cool,
find their
but, like,
ships wouldn't come back.
looks cool.
Or most sane
But, like,
readers would
handle
say
it.
this is a very clear
No.
sign that something was amiss.
Oh,
That
I got
they were
turned.
kicking a hornet's nest, perhaps. And probably making a tactical boo-boo.
Alright.
The Capellans
I'm
were undaunted.
I'm responding to a
pushed on,
police
because
scanner.
Capellans are like
So
that.
there's going to be
To
some
sum it
bad
up,
boys.
There's a joke about Capellan commanders
Keep
I'd like
watch,
to
keep
tell
watch,
you.
keep watch.
The Capellan Officer School has a test for entry.
Nope, they
wherein
weren't out
blocks
there
of
in the
various
beginning.
shapes
Oh,
and
there's one of them.
sizes are put through holes of corresponding shapes and sizes. This
Slice.
results in two kinds of officers populating the Capellan Armed Forces. Those who are moderately intelligent,
Oh.
and those who are incredibly strong. So, during this war,
Hey, my
the
friend.
Capellans experienced some setbacks at home. In the lead-up to conflict and
And
during
that's
the
how
war
it went
itself,
like.
the armed forces of the
Nice.
Capellan Confederation
I'm
Yeah,
just
it's-
enjoying
series
him
of
talk
purges
about
and
Capellans.
downsizing. Whether a deliberate act of political
Fucking Capellans.
sabotage, brain-dead bureaucracy, or just foolish
I actually
belief that
think-
they could get by
No,
with
I
less,
immediately
this
came out of
decision
the car and then
resulted in
murdered
a
him.
loss of
That's
competent staff officers and reasonable oversight. The young officers, now
Oh.
without numerous experienced commanders, would try to outdo each other
gotta
throughout the
get
entire
evidence.
war, taking action that bordered on insanity. Mass charges into prepared defenses. Yes, they did that. Glassing worlds who offered the tiniest bit of resistance. Yes, they did that. Nuclear, biological, and chemical weapons? Yes, they used those too.
You look a little
Each
stuck.
attack was more savage
Oh
than
my.
the next, and proved extremely costly. The Torians, having always been a nation completely given over to the military philosophy of fuck around and find out, would visit atrocities
Car,
back on the
come to me.
Capellans tenfold. Mind you, this is a population of people that has consistently throughout history said with one unified voice, time and again, hippity hoppity, get off my property, and then
alright,
backed it up with fucking nuclear weapons.
I
After
love
years of
Torians.
fighting,
They're,
after astronomical losses,
they are hardy
after
people.
committing and then losing entire battle groups, the Capellans won 3 worlds. 3. For this stunning loss of equipment and gaining few planets that were ruined. The Capellan state paid for it by nearly
you watching that?
bankrupting themselves.
Yeah,
The
I did.
Torians, having enjoyed
You saw that too, right?
Capellan shrugged, dug in, and
I mean, you're gonna
prepared for
see
the
some
next
funny
war.
shit.
Yeah.
However, in
As I'm, like,
2427,
driving
Captain
around
General
on a
Terrence
motorcycle
Merrick
now.
managed to turn the offensive into a meat grinder that bogged the Lyran offensive down until it lost momentum. Losing entire armies for no
Oh, I
gain
need
would be
that, yeah.
catastrophic in modern military terms to the Lyran Commonwealth's
Oh, yeah,
general
that's right. I
staff.
wanted
That
to check
catastrophic loss scenario is called Tuesday. And on it went. War was a sport. War was frequent. And without strategic weapons in full use by Ares Convention signatories, war resulted in Pyrrhic victories or stalemates. War had to change, to evolve, for the leaders of the great houses were endlessly waging
I
a
don't wanna-
series of
I don't wanna
wars
waste
with
time.
restrictive rules. Rules which did not encompass their full arsenals, and
Oh,
military
shit!
doctrine choices that did not take into account
Stakes
the
are made.
possibility that war
Nope.
could
Yet
change.
you lived.
But it did. It had to. As you well know, the debut of the BattleMech changed everything. From 2439, I believe we see a new age. The age of the BattleMech. In the years following the Mackey's production, introduction, celebration, use in war, and later being stolen and copied by the great houses of the inner
Can't tell if
sphere,
there's a
you
fence
see
there.
this new age.
Oh,
an
but it's
age
so much
of
worse.
proliferation.
It's so much worse.
War now had a new standard of conflict. Mainly that they were fought out almost completely on the surface of a planet, and this battle mech age would boil down to who could build the most mechs and efficiently field them. But instead of embracing the Mackey and accepting it as the new standard of warfare as they had done with the Ares conventions, a bare handful of scientists, military leaders, and military philosophers would ask the most important question at this juncture. What if instead of more mechs, we built better
killed.
ones? And with all of these lessons in mind, that is where I lead us next. Before long, it was plain that war had changed. From former Terran colonies to the rise of great interstellar powers, war had been more or less the same, but the Ares conventions and the rise of the BattleMech would change the pace of war. Nations could no longer use strategic weapons of their warship navies with impunity. They had to embrace new ways of fighting, and competition boiled down to who had more if not better weapons on hand in the terrestrial battlefield. After the first BattleMech combat drop in 2453, the Great Houses stood in horror for a brief moment, realizing that yes, war had changed. Hell, most Great Houses spent a good amount of time in shock, confirming what was reported had actually happened, that it wasn't some elaborate PR stunt or propaganda piece before trying to steal the blueprints themselves and technical specifications to build the new mech at any cost. It took years, but most succeeded. Some houses ended up buying the design off those who had managed through espionage alone to acquire the secrets of the Maquis. The focus of the Inner Sphere was now squarely on the BattleMech, and rapidly it became a question of who could build more.
I have a
But the Maquis,
dash in there
while a
too.
game
That's
changer, was limited. Chiefly, it was a prototype rushed into production, and certainly any prototype has its problems. Doubly so when that prototype is exposed to the hardships and operations tempo of an active war zone. Indeed, it would be foolish to widely field a weapon that, when damaged, must return to the factory that built it for service. When every great house and their vast scientific and engineering resources began to dissect the Maquis, they immediately found room for improvement. Initially, improvements were on the prototypical technologies and components of the Maquis itself. Once reliability issues were solved, and mass production changes made to the design for easy industrial scale mass manufacture, innovation took hold. And while the Maquis was certainly satisfying to most, it was not a solution to all problems. So the Great Houses began to plan for more specialized mechs to fill various battlefield roles. The next generation had to be better, and built off the lessons learned from this primitive era of mech combat. The innovation drive and the hegemony had people wanting something to complement the Maquis, and judging by what came of this want, the desire to smite opponents from afar seems to have been the single largest concern. By 2458, the Archer appeared. Shortly thereafter, the Helopolis. So if the Maquis was a walking tank, or at least a combat bulldozer, these new mechs provided war with stompy artillery. There's a well-worn saying related to that. Artillery is king of the battlefield.
Making me look like a big bitch.
True, as artillery strikes from afar.
Usually it shoots through this shit.
It is profoundly expensive.
There we go.
Unless indiscriminate destruction is the goal. It needs accurate fire direction to function.
Alright,
and while some would argue that these problems should have been solved the other way around, that fire control and ranging should have been figured out first in mech terms, artillerymen will disagree. Namely, as they don't really care and just enjoy watching things explode.
Oh yeah, when they first see me, I have a thing that lets
and so
brings down
industrial complex tackled the scout mech
slow down speed
next.
As I get like adrenaline pumping through me.
Jump jet capable recon mech, the Wasp, and despite early failures with its ability to jump safely, if at all, the prototype was quickly perfected for mass production by 2471. By the end of that century, we got another two well-known and reliable mechs to fill out further specialized battlefield roles. The venerable Thunderbolt and the first true medium mech with the Griffin. And in this era of proliferation, the wheels of industry promised that so long as there were buyers, this rate of innovation would continue. These first steps were slow, but with every passing decade, the great houses continued to expand on the idea of producing their own unique designs best suited to their battlefield needs. Increasingly, commanders wanted mechs for specialized roles, artillery for static defenses, scouts to find targets for artillery, frontline mechs to brawl, attackers to break through, medium mechs to act as quick reaction forces. This is where you see the establishment of battle mechs as doctrine. Every factory and every industrial firm accepted this challenge to innovate, as after all, the funding was unlimited. This era of rapid battle mech advancement was an all-out competition between the great houses and all of their vast resources. This was the new dawn, of a great
For the
arms
BattleTech
race.
stuff from Tech
War
Stocks
began to
BattleTech.
change
Oh my
with this
God,
innovation
these-
challenge,
the
with
new,
great houses
the new
factoring the
visuals that they
capability of
created
mechs
are
into every
amazing.
strata of their
A
warfighting
lot of-
philosophy and strategy. Where once mechs were an expensive oddity, a curiosity,
So they're talking
or
about
a
the
very
Rifleman in this one,
costly
and
force multiplier,
how, you know,
with
the
availability
king of the
becoming
battlefield is
commonplace and
artillery,
designs
but they're
rapidly
kinda talking
evolving
about
to
the
fill
expanse of warfare
specialized combat
from the
roles.
beginning and what led
Mechs
to
were soon
making
integrated into the
the,
central warfighting doctrines of every major
the
power.
Rifleman kind
So
of
much
important.
so that by
I think
2496,
I actually
the very
asked
first
Justin
true
for the
dropship
rifle.
was used, designed principally to
Well,
bring
you
mechs
should definitely watch
swiftly
this
and
episode
safely
after
to the
it premieres.
battlefield, and then to recover them once
Because
the day
this will
was
tell you
won.
all about it.
Further, this effect generated a cultural shift, for by the dawn of the
Where
26th
would you put a
century,
body?
mech warriors themselves were now central figures in any conflict. Where once great generals or brave soldiers were the paragon of military virtues, the mech warrior had now taken center stage. Mech warriors were the gods of war, driving machines into the center of any conflict and beating victory out of the opponent in glorious warfare. In an odd
I wish you were listening to
throwback
some of
to
this.
historical military tradition,
I wish I was
mech
too,
warriors
but I will next
began
time
to be
around.
seen as knights
But
of the
I'm
great
really
feudal
enjoying this.
houses. So much
Well,
so
it's just
that by
like,
2505,
they're like,
the
you're gonna-
Lorix Order was
you're gonna
created.
pay when I
The
find
Order
you,
of
and I
Lorix
just
was a
jump down
military
and murder them.
philosophical society who, in their chief work,
Alright,
Like,
well,
the
hello.
Lorix Creed, established the belief that mech warriors were the pinnacle of society, and such a philosophy would have far-reaching consequences in time. But for the moment, it established the sense of
Oh,
mech
yeah.
warriors
Let
as
me just-
knights errant for a new age of war. The Ares conventions governed
That's how my
war.
character looks.
The Lorix Order and the Lorix Creed governed the mech warrior. Among other things, the Lorix
I had
Creed
been running around
established
like
that mech warriors shall be expected to display the highest degree of professionalism, and that the highest order of warrior
Critical.
and
The mech
defender of
warriors
the realm
display
was the
the
mech
highest
warrior
degree of
himself.
professionalism
the
and
Creed established
honor.
the status of mech warriors as a special caste,
Ah,
a celebrated
that's
breed
why-
of warrior, one possessing the highest
That's why
honors
Frank's just
possible,
a tank
and that
man.
they in turn should be expected to perform the most outstanding feats of daring in defense of the
I'm joking.
state. It established war as a way of life, a profession, and that way of life was
Right.
honorable, desirable, and worthy of those willing to apply these ideals. War, the tools to wage it, and the people who use them had changed in the shadow of the Maquis. And the reason I bring this to you, the reason I recap these lessons and give you a background on the era and culture of the inner sphere at the dawn of the 26th century is because it is that world which was rapidly changing, and it is that world which shapes all that follows. Within a 100-year period, doctrines and military fighting strategies had shifted from strategic weapons to battle mechs. In a 100-year period, the conduct of war had shifted from annihilation and conquest to border skirmishes and controlled conflict. In a 100-year period, the great houses of the inner sphere put away the old weapons and forged altogether new ones in a contest of might that would shape all that followed. It was in this era of rapid change in which the Rifleman was born.
Nice.
Oh, you just saw me swat his fucking head off.
Yeah. Just, what's up? Hi there. If you've got 4 minutes to give to the bathroom, get more to eat or drink, buy you this intermission back by popular request, either because people blah blah blah. And yeah, no, fuck yeah. Cool. Cool. Got a little break here. Like a 4-minute break. Oh, dude, that opening sequence about the Age of War and how, like, the change from, like, total nuclear annihilation back into, like, standard warfighting capability. Because, I mean, like, the thing is a mech is kind of made to survive nuclear weapons. So the platform changed because of that reason. I think that's part of what it's talking about, and doesn't quite say exactly, or what he's trying to say. But he definitely talks about the fact that, like, they go back to a more medieval kind of knights have honor thing, and pull people back into, let's not use total war. Let's use the rules by the Ares Convention. and
Yeah, so,
stop
okay,
fucking
you're
murdering
gonna
everyone
open the chute?
and glassing worlds.
Mm.
Alright, yep.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
I never really mentioned it, and my character probably won't mention it. Unless it came up. I'm actually a noble.
Sorry, I just
So,
wanted
so
to tell you.
I
That
think
has
I am
nothing to do
somewhat
with it.
aware of that. But, you know, it is what it is.
Yeah, I'm like
I'm gonna have to go back and read the stuff that's actually in the the intermission, but no,
yeah,
that's
like
understandable.
I'm a lesser
like a lesser knight.
lesser noble, a lesser Steiner noble.
Okay, like knight level or like noble.
Mm,
Or I probably don't want to know.
low enough that
Make sure that you join the BPL podcast. Yes. Because we want the BPL podcast to be the Black Pants Legion podcast and not some random library. No offense to them. And towards work in payday 2.
Charity needs its
Yeah,
meth.
it
We
was
gotta
fun.
cook a lot of meth for this charity, guys.
I haven't played Data 2 in
This
a
meth
while.
doesn't cook itself.
They donated $11,000 to Toys for Tots. That is a great job, guys.
Oh, the Overkill team? Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
You know what is sad? A sad game that got lost.
Mm-hmm.
Overkill's The Walking Dead. It was. I liked it. It was as an actual.
It was the Black Pants Legion that did 11,000 on that, but the Overkill team, yeah, no, we miss them.
Where's the body?
I have no idea. Probably down below.
Follow the blood. Blood. What's the smell? It's blood.
Buckle your fuckles and let's do this. The upvote if you haven't would be nice. Alright, we're going back in. Part 3. Calhoun Industry.
Callan Industries
Oh,
was an
Callan.
established and respected multinational military hardware manufacturer, profiting vastly from the position it
You-
occupied in the
Where are you
military
dead? Where are you
logistics
dead,
chain,
Keanu Reeves?
with
Where are you
strong
talking to
contracts within the hegemony and beyond. Callan Industries was just another second-tier supplier for the hegemony armed forces. What that means in real-world terms is their chief product was supplies, parts, spares, and tools. From ammunition to communications equipment, Callan Industries proudly made whatever components as required for the burgeoning military-industrial complex. However, with the rapid escalation of BattleMech technology and
Put a
likely
body
Mad
in a
not
trunk.
being in on the Mackie consortium from the get-go, Callan decided to go ahead with their own
Where are you,
BattleMech
Johnny
design.
Silverhand?
For in an age of
There you are.
those who make weapons are soon to be wealthy. It was
Love my Keanu Reeves over
2504,
there.
and they began with a simple idea. They found a niche that none had adequately explored in BattleMech technology. If they were to manufacture
How do
a
I-
fire support
There you go.
BattleMech that could, in theory, deal with any number of threats at range and then equip it with a targeting system
Disappeared.
second to none, they would have
No,
a
he-
unique product
he's
in a
driving
world
out.
that paid vast
I know he
sums
did,
for
but like
just
it
such a thing.
disappeared immediately from
It
me.
wasn't going to be just
Oh,
another
it just started-
artillery
it just
support
started
mech
driving off.
or a close-range
Alright,
brawler, but a dedicated platform for precise, long-range fire support
Feels more
that could
like
not only
people
sweep the
please want it.
skies of pesky
Actually, hold on.
aerospace assets, something sorely lacking in those early years, but something that could offer precision firepower to any combat.
You didn't see
lines.
it.
I did.
In
Shut up.
2504, at great expense, their prototype was presented. Codenamed Falcon Gray, the prototype passed all trials
that
and was
Rifleman
accepted
looks
into
sexy as
inventory as
fuck,
the
though.
RFL-1N Rifleman.
Like,
It was
imagine
designed
two
to be a
15 gals
robust,
on the arms of a
simple,
mech.
cost-effective weapon with a niche
Yeah, that's kind of why I wanted
battlefield
it.
It was the first mech of its type, something not a scout, nor artillery, nor Mackie derivative. It was something new. As with most new weapons, it would have significant problems in this early production run. For one, the RFL-1N Rifleman had mass
So there's like
overheating
20 of
problems,
these
which
carrots
resulted
around,
in rapid
graffiti around
corrections,
town.
and the RFL-3N some
Look at
years
that.
later, which replaced lasers with autocannons. But that then introduced new issues, namely ammunition consumption and endurance issues with prolonged conflict. But there were none
Here's
who
some of
could
the ones I
deny
got.
its advanced targeting systems were ahead of its time, and absolutely effective. So effective, mind you, that the Rifleman's
Cool.
Garrett DJ-2 targeting system has lasted nearly half a millennium of combat without significant improvement. Yeah, it's that damn good. And
Damn.
with the ability to put more firepower in the air than a periphery wedding celebration,
wanna get
it's
on
a
mic.
real showstopper on the battlefield. With
Alright,
that being
Ethan.
said, let's dig
You're
into
gonna,
what makes
you're
a
gonna watch me
rifleman
as I
a rifleman,
murder them
and go
like
over its history
I love to.
and design.
Here's my car. There it is.
There it is. I will
The
cursorily watch.
RFL-1N Rifleman was a prototype
You're in the
pushed
good
into
part.
use far before it
Oh,
was
okay.
refined. The
Well,
hegemony
it's gonna take me
wanted
some
more
time, so
max,
you're good.
and it bought
I'll
them to
tell you
fill
when
the
you
air
can
defense
find
and
a
fire
watch.
support
Okay.
role while hoping the kinks would be worked out long before they would ever be used.
Oh, I made that turn.
And as said, it had some issues, namely overheating. In fact,
Fuck
it
you.
could
Oh,
cook
no.
a pilot faster than an industrial oven if pushed, but
Up.
it worked. Another issue
Son,
was
that
that
thing-
it carried very little armor, with the rear torso armor being near paper thin, and it lacked mobility as well, with a cruising speed of barely 64 kph. While not exactly terrible in this early era of mechs, it would stand out as a significant concern in future generations. As a dedicated Overwatch platform against enemy aircraft and providing fire support to advancing units,
Alright,
it
it's a good
excelled,
spot, Ethan.
but as a ready weapon of war, it was
Is it a good
deficient.
spot? Can I
With
get-
primitive armor and engines, and at a mere 50 tons, the original RFL-1N Rifleman was a medium mech by modern designation. The original prototype and initial
I
production
didn't get
run had
anybody.
2 large lasers and 2 medium lasers. It was an idea made manifest and certainly had room for many improvements. However, it was unique in one very interesting way. It lacked
don't
lower
know why
arm and
I'm-
hand
I gotta-
actuators. This meant its ability to melee was limited. As well,
There we go.
either through cost-cutting measures or poor design, the Rifleman could only rotate 40 degrees off-center in either torso twist arc. The designers, either through laziness or creativity, overcame this by engineering a quick fix. The Rifleman's arms can turn a quick 180 degrees and engage targets
Oh.
behind it. This was revolutionary, and a tactic which has been used
Oh
to
my
good
God.
effect since, as a Rifleman can surprise an ambusher by turning its full firepower behind
Alright.
it and then blasting away until it boils over. However, with only 12 heat sinks and 2 large lasers, the original Rifleman production run was a combat-capable oven at best. Here's where we get into history again for a brief moment. In 2556, the Treaty of Geneva was signed. This resulted in mass proliferation of mech designs across the inner sphere, and more or less the end of the Cameron blacklist, if not in fact but practice. From this, we see an update to the Rifleman. The RFL-2N was a noticeable improvement, for the primitive engine and armor was replaced with more advanced and contemporary component designs. 50 years of R&D since the initial version had resulted in significant technological advances,
Alright.
and they were quickly incorporated throughout to bring the
Nope, there's
design
still no
to
one
its
there.
maximal potential. With
There's one.
components now in some cases half the size of the prototype version, the extra room was put
Isn't
to
there
use.
supposed to be a gun in the
And
front of
large
that
lasers
thing?
were replaced
No.
with PPCs.
Looks
The new
like there is.
Rifleman also incorporated
like
2
a-
additional
it's like a-
medium lasers.
like a
With 2
camera or
PPCs
something.
and 4 medium
Yeah.
lasers, the Rifleman was significantly outgunned, or at least allowed the mech warrior to put hurt on others until help arrived. But here's where
I
the
ran
story
through,
gets
like,
really
oil tanks.
interesting, because the Rifleman has
So I
derivatives.
exploded 2 oil
I'm not
tanks on
talking advancements of the core design alone, or technological evolution of components.
That
But
was
Hold on,
different
hold on.
models in the Rifleman family of mechs altogether. This is where the design branches into parallel developments. By
What?
2720, the Rifleman was in service with the Star League Defense Force, and their Royal Regiments wanted something special. So, for the express purposes of pleasing the client, Callan Industries built the Rifleman 2. That is to say, the RFL-3N-2. The Rifleman 2 was an 80-ton variant. That's right, the Rifleman 2 was an assault mech, and either to appease the Royal Division's request or pad their expense account, Callan ensured it had the best technology possible throughout, from Indo-steel structure and an XL engine offering. It had a hell of a lot of firepower, with a pair of LBX-10 autocannons, large pulse lasers, as well as medium lasers and a big galactic probe. It had double heat sinks, and aside from being a sky broom for pesky aircraft, it made itself a viable command platform. Further,
the Rifleman 2
its
is
armor
such a
was
sexy
noticeably
fucking
improved
mech.
at this point, with Callan's premier line of Callan Royal Star. And this takes us back to the main design chassis, which was improved with the RFL-3 series. No longer a 50-ton chassis, the Rifleman was now a 60-ton mech, putting it on the lighter end of heavies. The RFL-3 comes in multiple marks, and is an improvement on the original design series traced back to the RFL-1 Rifleman, and not at all related with the Rifleman-2.
Jesus, I hit the gas tank
Throughout,
again.
they're universally hailed as among the best of the
Why
design.
don't you just blow up the
Most
gas before
notably
you
is the
get there?
RFL-3N,
Because I
which is what we come to understand as the standard
You want
variant
to slash
today.
people.
It was designed to use
I want to
standardized
drive my
It's not
car in
working
there,
out for you.
low-tech
murder
materials
someone, and
in order
slash
to
the
be
people.
easily
Yeah.
mass-produced. It boasted a Pit Van 240 engine and was armed with 2 large lasers and 2 AC-5 autocannons. In addition, it had a pair of medium lasers for close-in support. It was, however, being devoid of advanced tech, easily overwhelmed by heat output, but, well, heat sinks are expensive and pilots are replaceable. It was also poorly armored at 7.5 tons of armor. This was a cheap design made for the final push on Terra during the Ameris coup, and it was necessarily cheap and uncomplicated as a result. From a logistics standpoint, it's a fine design. From a repair standpoint, they're cheap as hell and reliable. If you have to get into it, well, I'd advise hiding behind something and staying the hell away from the front line. And the story gets stranger from there, because while we discuss the branch of the Rifleman 2, we have to discuss something else to come out of the Ameris Civil War. Yes, there's another and far rarer variant design, inspired by but completely separate from the Rifleman 1 and 2 series mech designs. Okay, I've said this before.
Hey, I'm doing it your way. You
I
happy?
need to say it again. I'll preface my argument with this. Stefan Ameris was a weird guy. Yeah, I've covered
God,
the
Stefan Ameris,
bib
what an
thing
ugly
before.
fucking
Yes,
motherfucker.
the bib. That is a bib. I've also covered the sun laser thing too.
Yeah.
Yes, Venus was once completely habitable and nice thanks to a solar shade. Ameris tried to turn it into a doom laser to stop the SLDF fleet, but because this plan is absolutely batshit and poorly thought out, the sunshade broke and Venus is ruined for all time. So, what if I told you, in addition to his many other faults, Ameris had this problem a lot of despots and tyrants do. They believe in wonder weapons, ultimate iterations of weapon systems, and that bigger is better. And being surrounded by enemies slowly tightening the noose on your dying empire, despots and dictators tend to go all in for expensive, foolish, and utterly insane weapon systems. It is from this place of poor engineering knowledge and wanting bigger rather than better weapon systems that you get some of the oddest weapons of history. It is from this place where you get such things as the completely useless Matar, appropriately dubbed Ameris' Folly, a rarely, if ever, mobile weapon system that struggles with virtually any task put before it, which was then later copied into the absolute personification of please hit me with artillery because I don't move too good and I'm visible from orbit mech that was the Stone Rhino. I'm sorry. I meant to say the mech which is the personification of compensation for personal inadequacy that is the Stone Rhino. Pardon, my notes had that in the margins. So, Ameris believed in ultimate weapons that were dangerously impractical, wasteful, and above all imaginative in the way a child's mind is. Except, as with all madmen, sometimes through sheer luck or encouraging genius on the part of the designer, they get something right. The Rifleman 3 was one of those things. The Rifleman 3 was a beast, a monster, a titan of the battlefield with a very specific mission profile: ambush. And where many
I don't even know what
clamor
this was.
for the ballistic excess of the Annihilator and worship it in cult-like adoration, few know of the mayhem of the Rifleman 3. Let me put it to you this way.
That is a sexy
Once
fucking mech.
90 tons, has 4 Gauss rifles,
Oh.
a fully active null signature stealth system,
Oh shit.
and was designed to surprise, ambush, and then destroy any assaulting force. The Rifleman 3 is or
Rifleman
was that
3
very
has
monster.
4
And
fucking
before you
Gauss
heap
rifles?
adoration on it, know this.
Yeah!
One,
No
it had
signature
enough ammo
stealth
for
system.
4 volleys
Oh
only
shit.
before needing to retreat and rearm.
Oh, that is an ambush
2,
mech.
it was as slow
Yeah,
as an
I
urban mech.
don't
And
think
3,
Justin would ever let me take
10 and a
that.
half
But I
tons
was
of
like,
armor
that
for
is
its
awesome.
90-ton mass. But regardless of these obvious shortcomings, in its intended
And
battlefield
again, he's
role,
letting me take the rag.
it was impressive. It is now known that
It's-
there was only the single experimental prototype.
There was one
It was
prototype.
one of many last-ditch weapons Amaris had envisioned in the twilight of his
I mean, I don't-
illusions. What is
Like,
known for
Ragnarok
certain
wasn't like,
is that it was destroyed during the Battle for Terra in
an
the closing
actual-
act of the Amaris
was
Civil
on a
War.
side thing.
Entombed and forgotten among the wreckage of a ruined city, its rediscovery highlights what can happen when a madman gets something absolutely right. In its first and only combat action, barely assembled, barely running, the prototype downed 9 SLDF battle mechs before
9
becoming
mechs?
incapacitated, either by the battle itself, a lack of ammunition, or equipment breakdown.
Fuck.
I feel, personally, that it's a design worthy of a remake, but I'm no captain of industry and my stock portfolio is far below being influential. While the Rifleman 3 existed briefly, its mark on history was interesting, to say the least. But, as for the Rifleman and their various 1 and 2 series models, the story continues. With the Exodus and
Oh,
collapse of
shit.
Starleague, it is
Yeah, you're
known that
dead.
the SLDF took
Yeah,
the
he got,
role
like, a
of
heavy
the
machine
Rifleman
gun on me.
2s and quite a few riflemen in various makes along for the ride. In time, the clans would make their own version, which is a significant upgrade of the Rifleman and accordingly supremely more expensive. The Rifleman
of course.
2C is a 65-ton mech with 4 large pulse lasers. There are variants from this base model that swap the lasers for ultra-auto cannons, heavy large lasers, and anything else clan tech could slap into it. Amusingly, it is still
Alright,
lightly
let's
armored.
try this a different way.
After the Exodus, across the Inner Sphere, the Rifleman served admirably in the Succession
Oh,
Wars.
passed it.
However, being a lightly armored design, it did not do so well. With the declining number of mechs available, the Rifleman was often placed into frontline conflict by necessity alone, a place where something that takes hits poorly should never be. What was originally an anti-aircraft and battlefield sniper being forced into point-blank contact naturally led to significant loss. It wasn't until the rediscovery of Lost Tech that the Rifleman was again spoken of in a meaningful way. Ultra-auto cannons
Oh,
and
yeah.
double heat sinks go a long way
Here's what I
to
was trying to
increasing
say.
its battlefield viability. Cellular ammunition storage equipment added to its survivability.
Ah, I missed it.
Up-armoring became common, with the availability
There you
of
go.
lighter
There you
and
go.
stronger
Nice.
armor. And a
Yeah,
few
you can
from that
actually
era
shoot
survived
through
to
the
become
ground in some
legends
cases.
in their own right.
Yeah.
And like, you
Ray
can shoot
Norton
through stuff
of
in
the
some
Great
cases,
Death
not
Legion
everything.
piloted a Succession Wars era RFL-3N with a lighter 180 series engine. He added 3 jump jets and removed the medium lasers to make way for more heat sinks and more armor.
Oh,
He would go on to be the most famous rifleman pilot of all time. He won 7 Solaris 7 championships in the damn thing, and earned his mech the name Legend Killer. Cranston Snord of Snord's Irregulars helped one of his own, Shorty Sneed, build a rifleman that's more a Frankenmech. Why? Well, Snord's Irregulars is weird.
Irregular.
I mean, they are really, really weird. Not bad, just weird. So the RFL-3N of Snord's Irregulars fame has a Phoenix Hawk head. a Warhammer right arm, and parts from an Archer built into it. It had a PPC, an LRM-20, 3 medium lasers, and 14 heat sinks. Well, look, Snords of Regulars is weird like that. If you think this is the weirdest thing they've done, I can assure you it is not. As far as other influences go, Callan wasn't content to merely build variations of their own design. They saw the design defects of the Rifleman and built a solution for those with the money to buy it. They identified the principal flaws as the Rifleman being too lightly armored, with not enough ammunition storage for longer engagements, and definitely running too hot. So they went back to the drawing board. What they ended up with is something else entirely. The Jagermec. Essentially a Rifleman Plus, it's an anti-aircraft DACA platform able to maul an air force and have enough ammunition left over for the next one. Put into production, it notably served well in the clan invasion, with House Kurita seeing the most use of them in fire support.
Yeah, gotta love a Jagermec. DACA.
The Rifleman is an interesting mech design, in that it's absolutely not suitable for anything other than its intended role. Generation by generation, the Rifleman has evolved to better fit the need of the battlefield role of fire support or anti-aircraft operations, and sometimes both. Throughout design iterations, it has had its problems with armor, heat, and ammunition capacity. Throughout its long production run, every attempt to fix one of these problems has either increased its price to make it unattractive for mass production, or resulted in new, more annoying problems. The Rifleman was built in multiple production runs, ranging from the assault mech, which was the Rifleman 2, to the one-off ambusher that was the Rifleman 3. Throughout, the design philosophy has been muchly the same. Niche combat roles fulfilled as best able. The strong suit of the Rifleman has always been its incredible targeting system, one that, as noted, has lasted for 500 years without major improvement.
Damn, 500
Reliable,
years for a single
durable,
targeting
and accurate
system.
as hell. The targeting systems of the Rifleman are something that, if anything, should be a copied component for any mech wishing to dish out accurate fire at range. The Rifleman is, by many measurements, aside from the 2, 2C, and 3 variants, which make a minority of the total production run, a cheap and reliable design. Considering you only need a few of them in any battle force to deal with VTOLs and aerospace threats, it's even more financially attractive from a procurement standpoint. The most common version,
Oh god, I'm getting
the
about 200
RFL-3M,
Oh, there you go.
is priced at 4.8 million C-bills. That's only
4.8 million
4/5
for a
the cost
fucking
of a
Rifleman
catapult,
3M?
1/5 the cost of a Loki, a quarter the price tag of a Vulture, and half the cost of an Atlas. Hell,
Oh,
the damn thing is cheaper than a Dragon. It occupies a comfortable 3.2 to 3.3 on the Urban Mech Purchasing Index on any given day. And that's made cheaper, as stated again, as you're not buying these by the dozen. The Rifleman is a purpose-designed mech for second-line combat. It is designed to swat at aircraft and bring fire support from a distance when needed. It's in the same class as many other long-range designs, but I feel it's judged unfairly. Too often,
I agree.
it is compared to other mechs used in close-range engagement. The
is not
Rifleman
a
wears the
close-range
stigma
mech.
it acquired from the succession wars when barely competent mech
goddamn
warriors
sniper
would
mech.
drive anything
Oh,
into
yeah.
anything, circle at
All of the
point-blank
Riflemans
range,
are-
and press
are-
buttons
yep.
until one of them
That's
stopped
why I was
moving.
looking at them.
By
I don't wanna be
necessity,
anywhere near them.
sadly, this was often the
Yeah,
case.
I'm probably
as
gonna be in the back
severely
line with you,
depleted
but I'm gonna
resources of the
probably
Intersphere
try and get a
through the
hand on
course
an
of the
archer.
succession wars meant that any
that's a
mech
good one.
was better
or a
than no mech.
longbow.
And so the Rifleman
That's a-
was, more
Longbow
often
would be
than
great
not,
because I'm gonna
pressed
try and get
into
the oblique
frontline
attacker
service.
format
And
so I
there,
can just make
they exploded.
sensor
A
rolls.
mech
and
with light armor
pick up on
and fair to
enemies out
middling
of
speed
range,
would naturally
or out
be
of
seen as
out
an
of physical
underwhelming, if
view,
not ill-omened
and then
design
just blow
in these
them the fuck up.
circumstances. But those were truly
Oh, he's
dark
still alive.
ages, governed
Still
by
alive.
idiots.
Damn, he's
And
tough.
while opinions of the
Oh,
Rifleman
he's an
ranged
actual-
from
he was a named
limitative
person.
niche combat
well,
platform
now he's
to
a dead
rapid-fire bullet hose
Yep.
murder machine, especially in a modernized rotary autocannon configuration,
Oh
it
my god,
does
yeah,
have
rotary
its
autocannon.
purpose, a very specific purpose. And when used in that way, it is an absolutely effective tool of war.
If
Remember
we get a
always,
base, we're buying at
a
least
mech is a
2 fucking
tool.
Riflemans.
and the Rifleman used as intended is a better tool than most.
Because I
But for
want to
those
see
who
an
dismiss it
anti-aircraft mech.
as a limited and stupid
I
design.
mean, like, yeah.
Let
why
me
not?
remind you
So,
of one
probably
last
wanna
old
get
Terran
multiple
saying:
considered will
if
fucking
it's
explode our
stupid
guys.
but works,
Mhm.
it isn't stupid.
If it works, it
Wow.
isn't stupid. I agree. Oh, hey, Benedict. You a big, thick dude. Final thoughts. Oh, wow. This was a shorter episode.
This lecture would be impossible without the gracious support of you, the student body, and your
mean, it is a
donations
mech
to
one,
this
so-
less than reputable entertainment venue. You've been great in your support despite our last classroom burning down, the dropship classroom as we fled, and now a jump ship's abandoned mini-mall being used as a lecture theater. Rest assured, your sea bills are what keep us afloat, because mercenary work is unpredictable at best. I
Daedalus
thank
Rex,
you kindly
you do beautiful
for your
work.
support, for the inner sphere is a scary place, and I'll take any vote of confidence I can get.
Nice
Know
metal,
as well
man.
that this lecture
Shit.
would have been impossible without the incredible gifts of our honored guests and talented professionals who have thrown in to this series with great gusto. Lastly, I want to thank
stop
our artistic
fucking
contributors
fishtailing.
who, through their vast talent and keen eye, have managed to find and restore some of the rarest images and historical documents necessary to further
They
our
do
study
fucking
of the
amazing
inner
work.
sphere and beyond. Their
Oh, come on.
expertise is appreciated, and know that they are mercenaries at heart, and
I
that they are
want to
certainly
buy
hireable
so much art
for your
from all of
work
them.
should you choose to offer them your patronage. I sure have, and I'm glad to have
Daedalus
done
Rex,
so.
I'm coming
As
for you.
now,
I
the
want
next
some
step is
goddamn
Van
BattleTech
Zandt.
art.
the only planet I know to get scrubbed off the star charts out of pure spite. God, it will be good to be finally home. I wonder if the local wideband station is still running the regional music around the clock.
This is the captain of the Queen Bee to all hands. Queen Bee captain to all hands. Jump is complete. This stop Van Zandt. Next stop is none of your business. All presently attached dropships may disembark when ready. If your dropship has fallen off while in transit, I'd like to remind you we did ask you to pay for docking collar insurance. Also, somebody tell Professor Tex to get his class out of my mini-mall because that's where we play laser tag. Queen Bee out.
Fucking jump captains thinking they rule space. Alright, let's head out. Class dismissed.
Hell yeah.
I did my part and I managed to just hold the line.
No step on snake.
The bastards kept coming, hitting us time and again.
Oh, it looks so good. Do
I'm now back in Van Zandt in Planners. They
George
are to
Ledoux.
blame.
You do great work.
I managed to do my part
You
and
got
I
people,
just can't complain.
you got artists in your thing?
He's a voice actor.
War's always hell, but there's always canopus
You got people in your watching you?
I don't know if anybody's watching. I don't particularly care. I'm just. It's more of like a recording at this point, but it's fucking. Man, it's good stuff.
Right back in Van Zandt and Planners are sure to play.
Such a good episode.
Urban Mac is above everything awfully slow. And there's one thing about it that you probably know.
Did it end already or something?
It's ending now. They're doing the ending sequence.
Huh, okay.
It's a shorter episode because it's about a mech. It's not like it's a story episode.
This time I am to blame.
Oh, it looks great though. Ooh.
Hey, Discount Dan here, and boy
Discount
do I have
Dan.
something for you. You ever do something bad and need to send a gift to somebody to make good for your fuck up? But with all the gifts out there, what do you get them? Why not trust a stranger with that decision? For the right amount of money, I can be that stranger. I'm the best stranger you know. Totally. So here's how it works. Firstly, you send me money and a name. Then you tell me what you did.
And I am just
Then I
tracking it
decide
now.
what basket to send them. And friends, let me tell you, I got all kinds of
shit.
baskets. Accidentally kill the wrong target, your half-ass assassination plot, and want to say sorry? Boom. Discount Dan condolence basket. Full
What are
of
you
jam.
watching
People
now?
like jam. I made the jam. It's pretty good. Nothing says sorry like
bad.
baked goods, which you'll get with the sorry I burned down your place of business. Here's some store-brand bread in a big bag basket.
Alright,
There's
up
even
and
a note
down,
on the
up
side
and
that
down.
says you're sorry, so you're automatically forgiven. That's how it works, I promise. But what if you were the wronged party? No worries. Revenge baskets. What they think are avocados might be grenades. Probably. Maybe there's a nuke in there. Look, Ren and Nuke went out of business and I had to move my stock elsewhere. So my loss is your gain. I got hornet baskets, bee baskets, baskets chock full of thermite. That's right, I got baskets for every conceivable situation. Remember, next time you need a basket sent,
Bees.
whether condolence, revenge, or congratulations, call me. Discount Dan.
I
and
love
I'll
you, Discount Dan.
absolutely take your money, guaranteed, because I
Discount
can.
Dan.
Oh, I almost never mix up like the
that his
condolence and the
name,
revenge
Discount Dan?
baskets up. Like, almost. Don't worry
Are
about
you-
it.
are you
Send
calling
the
him-
money.
oh.
We're good. All right.
Are you calling it Discount Dan because, like, he reminds you of Dan?
No,
Like-
no, it's Discount Dan because that's his name. But you should watch it. You'll see. They're in the Curitas shit now.
最強の特殊物体を編成しました。
I'm
素晴らしい。紹介してもらおうか。ああ、純次郎が
Oh, yeah, that's
操
what I was trying to
縦しています。最も
Yo, dog.
優れたメックであります。
If you see I'm on, like, a
素
single
晴
player,
らしい。
you're
ほ
welcome
ん
to,
ま
like,
に素
say,
晴
hey,
らし
you
い
wanna
や
do
ん。
something?
そして、イルカドラゴンを操縦しています。最も優秀なメックであります。
I got you.
前にもう切ったような。さらに元気がドラゴンを操縦しています。最も優れたメックであります。はあ、その優秀なパイロットは
Alright, alright.
いかなる方法で基本的に立ち向かうのだ。まあ、ご心配なさならず、彼らは風のように早く誰も止める
It's a
こと
little
が
too
で
easy
きません
sometimes.。
さらに4番目のパイロッ
is
ト
it
はハンマー
difficulty?
の役割を担っていま
Ah,
す。
no, it's normal.
ああ、どういう意
Up your
味
But, like-
difficulty, see how you do.
あ
Oh, it's
4
just
番
like
目の
I'm,
パイロッ
for the,
ト、
mo-
レビッ
shit.
トは
For the most part, I'm
そう
staying
操縦し
near
てい
the
ます。
spaces where I'm not getting,
Ist das hier das geheime Treffen
not
der
too high above.
Auftragsmörder? Sie haben dich durchschaut. Beginne mit dem Stampfen. Jawohl, Kommandant.
Ooh, Steiner Scout
Zum
Lance.
Narren gehalten. Ich bin
Oh.
eigentlich ein Steiner.
Steiner
Ich
Scout
liebe es,
Lance.
hinterhältig zu sein. Deine Hinterhältigkeit ist bewundernswert.
I love you, Steiners. Oh. Good scene from BattleTech. By Hairbrain's Games. Oh. It's a nice looking scene, but that ship is so stupid. I agree. I don't even think it's like an assault dropship. I think it's just a dropship carrier. It's literally like a dropship carrier to carry more dropships. So it fixed to a jump ship. 36 hours later.
Are you trying to, like, answer what?
Kinda.
Hello.
What?
This
What?
is
Dog.
Star. We would like to formally apologize for this misjump. Surely a computer error has resulted in the delay of your transit, the diversion of your jump ship, and the jamming of your comms. The vessel you are seeing now is for all verifiable legal purposes, not a warship. This is not currently, even by creative interpretation, a black op or false flag operation. For distinctly legal purposes, everything that follows is now a very legal action taken legally by us, your trusted communications provider. Your engines shutting down and computers crashing have nothing to do with Starleague override codes, which we certainly do not possess. Remember, we're here to help you. Now please, don't worry at all about the impending imminent seizure of your vessel by the Plausible Deniability ComGuard's Customer Service Commando team, currently en route. Don't worry, we will be with you shortly. Please assume the customer service submission position as found in page 438 of your service agreement and stand by for compliance measures. Thank you for choosing Comstar.
Hello, everybody. Duncan Fisher here. I've been invited to tell you about the wonderful tourism opportunities on Solaris 7. First off, we have legal murder. What?
That doesn't sound inviting, you know?
But it's true. I mean,
didn't say it wasn't true. It just...
Okay, fine. I won't mention the murder.
Okay, all right.
We here on Solaris 7 would like to cordially invite you to visit to watch our gladiator games. Why, yes, you too can watch barely literate mech warriors duke it out for pennies on the dollar. Sometimes they explode.
Okay, Duncan, listen, I mean, whether they are barely literate or not, you know, I mean, it's not like they'd be reading this if they were. Point being, maybe we should just try to keep it a little bit more professional, you know?
I was gonna mention the fact that we dress up homeless people and make them fight for our enjoyment.
No.
But that's a big seller, Jim.
Look, it's really hot in the cockpit. Okay, you can't go in there wearing.
You're not telling me anything I don't know.
I know. Just they're not barely dressed up homeless. They're not just. Oh God.
Okay, once more from the top. Whatever. We're rolling? Okay. Come on down to Solaris. We've got hamburgers and a reasonable amount of organized crime. Hello there, mech fans. Duncan Fisher here. You ever wonder what an autocannon does to a human body? Do you? It isn't pretty, I tell you. Oh, no. But that's not really the best part of Solaris. Come to the Solaris. That's where the whiskey flows like water. Holy shit, Kyle. I am ready.
You sound like a little fucking idiot.
Well, that was the best idea I've ever had. 5 minutes. I did some of that powder. I am fucking ready. Here we go. Are you ready?
Oh, yeah.
Fucking ready, Diane. Let's go. Hello, everybody. This is Duncan Fisher, and I'm going to talk to you about the way we just blow shit up for entertainment here. Oh, fuck, it's fucking rad. Okay, let's do the piece of shit first. Okay, what are we talking about? Violence! Yes, violence! We have so much fucking violence here. Did I ever tell you about my war wounds? I can show you right now. Let me just unbuckle my...
It's audio.
I think I gotta lay down.
What you get? Hey, Dunk, you all right? You kind of zontal in there a little bit. Okay, Jimmy, can we get a PA to go in there and help him get back up?
Oh, Duncan Fisher here to talk about fucking give me the Steiner aspirin tablets. It's just enough painkiller to cover up 8 scotches and a bump or 2 of the Canopus Battle Power. Steiner aspirin for life's excesses. Okay, Phil. I'm yes. Get your hands off me. I've told you before. Okay.
Jimmy, we still have to do the commercial. We're not
what
quite
the fuck?
Wait, what commercial?
The Solaris Tourism Board.
Oh, for Christ's sake. It's Solaris. Everyone knows what Solaris is. You don't have to advertise Solaris. Look, if you like explosions, mech explosions, you go to Solaris. If you like gambling, you go to Solaris. Nobody comes here for fucking corn dogs, cotton candy, and hugs. This planet runs on goddamn murder. Televised. 40K superfluous high-definition HPG broadcast murder. If that isn't good enough for you, you can jam it up your ass.
Actually, yeah, that's pretty good.
Hey, how's everything going in here?
Who the fuck is that?
Oh, that's the sponsor. He's just stopping by.
Oh, really? The sponsor? Hey, Mr. Sponsor, thanks for hiring me. Here, listen to my newest catch line on Solaris Tourism. Shit. Here we go. Come to Solaris. It's full of murder. Yeah, murder. Welcome to Solaris 7, where if you're good at killing, you don't go to jail. You get paid. Huh? What do you think?
That might be a bit much.
Just pay me, you fuck. I gotta go play Shadowrun.
They just won't explode for you.
But I'm pretty sure it does.
Green with envy, who have never yet been to war, but give me some fighting wages. I'll put myself in pages. You write your goddamn history of whatever you call this war. For those who seek employment, avoiding most annoyment, your ambition is deployment for anyone
That's
that
good.
you find.
That's really good.
Wonder. You fill your banks with plunder, see new worlds and murder them. Retirement is for fools. Oh, there's money made aplenty. Madmen made so wealthy. There are bastards green with envy. Who've never yet been to war, but give me some fighting wages. I'll put myself in pages when you write the goddamn history of whatever you call this war. I've run through all the nations, fighting in all invasions, and enjoyed the great sensation when the company did prove kind. But when parting was no pleasure, it still took all the treasure. And if it ever gets too stupid, I'll find someone who pays me more. Oh, there's money made aplenty, and madmen made so wealthy. They're bastards green with envy, who have never yet been to war. God, give me some fighting wages. Put myself in pages when you write your goddamn mystery of whatever you call it. Seeking new adventure. Come on, join a venture. You'll survive this sheer pain.
Blowing them the fuck up.
Oh, I ripped out a turret's like gut.
Yeah, and it's just going. That light was really strong, wasn't it? It was blocking your shots.
Myself in pages when you write the goddamn history of whatever you call this war. We are the Black Man's Legion, the finest in the region. We'll fight in any mess you make and always come back for more.
Oh, there's more over there. Hold on.
Find a number. We're out here seeking plunder, and we'll hot drop.
That was a great episode. I am gonna be rewatching that probably later tonight. That was good. That was really good.
Cat, banana, cat, cat, banana, 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 cat, banana.
Why are you doing? Why are you doing that?
Because he's singing the song.
Okay. Why are you
Because I'm entertained by it.
You shut up!
Banana cat, banana cat, banana cat, banana cat, banana cat, banana cat, banana cat.
Put up with the baby shark you do for like 10 hours.
Banana cat, 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 banana.
Goddamn Capellans. Put some down votes in there. Fuck them. Fucking Capellans.
Banana.
I love this description too. So they put in the copyright disclaimer, Section 107 of Copyright Act of 1976, under fair use. Tech Talks BattleTech is a fan-based parody / attempt at education for the setting that deserves much love. BattleTech, MechWarrior, and all other material owned by CGL, Tops, Torrent, PGI, and other various subsidies, and a million shareholders. Although not harming a gold. Fuck those guys. No challenge to their ownership status is being made or intended by the creation of this work. BattleTech is owned by the company, and the fan base is what keeps it alive. Let us hope they forgive us for what fun we have. Tech Talks BattleTech is a semi-serious take on BattleTech and its setting, lore, and history in an attempt to bring people into the greatest franchises ever envisioned, and should not be any way representative of the official stance or any corporation, conglomerate, megacorp, holding company, or cartel which currently owns the franchise. Tech Talks BattleTech is in no way affiliated with the official work of CGL, Tops, Torrent, and PGI, or their work, and it would be best said that they are largely unaware of what we do, and in no way acknowledge or encourage our projects. TLDR, it is the opinion of one guy who loves the setting and dead set upon bringing it to everyone who cares about it. And then links for all the rest of the descriptions. I was like, oh, that's a great one. They did a fucking amazing job. And they do a bang-up job every fucking time, dude. And you should really watch this episode. What did you do?
Nothing. Just clear the phlegm in my throat.
Oh, I thought you were laughing.
Nah.
Then it comes time to talk about Snord's Irregulars, and all I can say
bearing
is,
out the
well,
lemon.
what in the cinnamon toast fuck is wrong with Snord's Irregular?
You see that, right? That's
Yeah.
Go to
Well, hey,
Twister.
at least we'll have MechWarrior
Go to
5 to
Dicky
look for
Tower.
on Steam. Oh, wait.
No, Twister, not
Yeah,
Tower.
Looks like Disappointment's my second favorite. God, I need to sleep.
I feel that takes. Oh my god. Woo! Nice. It ended. Finally. Cool. That was great. It was really good. I will need to fucking rewatch that as the chat blows up. Hell yeah. They did a great job. Wounded Warriors raised almost fucking $6,000 for Wounded Warriors. Awesome. Awesome. Go to bed, Tex, and sleep the sleep of champions. Agreed. 6K. Damn right. 6K and $1. Hell yeah. Yeah, thank you, Tex. It was a fucking great episode. And all the rest of the BPO who worked on that, and all the great artists. This was a fucking great episode. Oh, dude. Everybody wants to petition them to be an official unit in the BattleTech universe. I mean, hell, in my fan main edition of stuff, at least for the book that I'm trying to write, they're gonna be fucking in it. Just another unit trying to make their dollar. But they will exist. Hell yeah. That was a good fucking episode. Thank you for anybody who watches this later and or decided to join me, and I